Hello, you're welcome to the AUB lecture series. My name is Dr. Gabriel Ken Gadaffi, Senior Lecturer, ACLEDA University of Business. At ACLEDA University of Business, we offer several courses in different disciplines. But if you are interested in learning English as a second language or studying English in a second as a major English major, then ACLEDA University of Business is your best bet. At ACLEDA University of Business, we offer courses in teaching English as a second language, English for business communication, as well as English for translation and interpretation. You can sign up for the bachelor degree or the associate degree. Also, we have short courses in English, such as English for academic purpose, English for specific purpose, as well as general English program at all levels. So, if you are interested in improving your English or trying to get a degree in English, ACLEDA University of Business is surely there for you. You can scan the QR code and for more details and more information from our faculty. Thank you. Okay, well, in today's lesson, we are looking at educational psychology. Okay, yes, in today's lesson, we want to start by looking at the introduction to educational psychology. What are the learning objectives in today's lesson? Well, at the end of this lesson, you will be able to define educational psychology. You will be able to identify the ways, the areas, the key areas of focus within educational psychology. Also, you will be able to explain the importance of educational psychology in teaching and learning. And also, at the end of this lesson, you will be able to describe the concepts in learning and development. Okay, welcome to this class. Like I said earlier on, don't forget to hit the subscription button, subscribe to this channel so that you can always get my lesson notes. And then, of course, if you want the physical, to be in the physical class, then you can sign up at ACLEDA University of Business. Now, let's get into the beginning. When you hear about educational psychology, what comes to your mind? First, let me ask a rhetorical question. What makes learning effective? What challenges do teachers face in helping students to learn? One of the most difficult things for many students is how to learn. From my years of experience teaching, especially teaching English as a foreign language, I get questions from my students all the time. Teacher, how do I learn? How can I learn? When I learn the word, I forget. Or, teacher, I have no motivation to learn. Or, teacher, how can I improve my confidence? Yes, these are more or less psychological effects of learning. Because when the students first get into the classroom, the conscious nature of learning begins to affect that student's confidence. It is unlike, there are two ways to learn. Learning consciously and learning subconsciously. The subconscious learning, it comes natural. This is how children, for example, they learn their mother tongue. They learn their native language without anybody really teaching them consciously. They listen to their parents, they hear the neighbors, they move around, they begin to pick the language one after the other, subconsciously. So there is no pressure. But the moment you go into a classroom and say you want to learn a language, then it begins to affect you psychologically. So this is where the teacher really needs to play a very big role. Um, from my own personal experience, uh, I want you to also think about your personal experience. If you are a teacher or if you have been teaching before, what are the challenges you have in helping students to learn? From my own experience, if I will share, I teach a diverse range of students from different levels. So, especially the lower levels, the beginners. Let me put it that way. For the beginners, it's a little bit difficult because they are not used to these words. They struggle with the vocabulary, they struggle with getting the grammar, understanding the subject-verb agreement, and this really pisses them off in learning second language. But as teachers, we need to make language learning fun, useful, and fun. This is what I call use fun. Now, you start by creating the atmosphere where these kids will begin to develop their confidence. They enjoy it. They see language learning as fun rather than making it look difficult. Okay? So, now, let us look at the field of educational psychology. First, what is educational psychology? How do we define educational psychology? The first time you heard that, oh, you are going to study educational psychology, what comes to your mind? What were you thinking that educational psychology is all about? Educational psychology is the branch of psychology concerned with the scientific study of human learning. I repeat, educational psychology is a branch of psychology which which is concerned with the scientific study of human learning. In my psychology 101 class, I taught you that psychology is about scientific study of the human mind. Okay? And there are different branches of psychology: education, medicine, engineering, social psychology, and things like that. But here we are looking at now the educational part of it, which is the scientific study of the human learning. How do people learn, especially second language learning? Now, educational psychology focuses on understanding how people learn. It focuses on how to develop and motivate in educational setting. How people learn, how they develop, how they are motivated to learn. The study of psychology or the study of educational psychology brings about the psychological principles which we apply to teaching and learning. Again, you see, I talk about teaching and learning because they go together. Teaching and learning are inseparable. In other words, as a teacher, you are learning. As a student, you are teaching. I learn from my students, and my students learn from me. So it goes in pari passu. It goes together. Also, educational psychology emphasizes that science, meaning it uses research and data, to inform its principle. You know, when we say scientific study, then we are looking at science, we are looking at data, we are looking at analyzing, we are looking at research. So these are the components of what makes educational psychology. Well, I hope you are enjoying this lesson and I hope you are following. If you are following and you have not subscribed, please hit the subscription button so you don't miss any lesson as they come. Now, let us look at areas to focus. The areas to focus in educational psychology. One, we need to look at the cognitive development. The cognitive development. That is how thinking process change from time, over time. You know, how the thinking process change over time. We need to look also the memory, the attention, the problem solving. You know, you remember in Psychology 103, I taught you about the 4 types of memory. So this is where it comes into play. The sensory memory, the short-term memory, the long-term memory, and then also what we call the working memory. So these all come into play in learning, in the educational learning. Also, we need to understand the importance of the cognitive level of the learner. When we talk about cognition, cognition is how to remember. Okay, this is how you remember things. Cognition, cognitive, how you remember. You see something, you apply your 5 senses: sight, hearing, tasting, touching, and feeling. Okay, so when you apply these senses, it helps you to remember, because the first thing is you see. You see, that's why in language learning, we look at the 4 macro skills: speaking, listening, writing, and reading. But this all, you need to apply the sensory memory. First you see or you hear, and then you make sense out of what you see or what you hear. Then we also need to look at the learning theories. What are the learning theories? I have always talked about the behaviorism, which focus on observational behavior and reinforcement. You watch people how they behave. You see, this is where culture comes into play. You cannot do learning a language without culture. You have to observe what the people culture is in terms of their behavior, because culture and behavior, they go together. Culture is all how people behave. So this is where the behavioral learning comes into play. Then the cognitivism, which I mentioned earlier. Here it focuses on the mental process and information processes. How do you process information? You process information by learning, by seeing, by picking it. Sometimes it is subconsciously, and then it comes into mental process, which is the conscious learning. Then we talk about constructivism. Constructivism here focuses on learners actively constructing their own language. English is a foreign language for you, maybe as a Cambodian, but it is your own language because you are communicating your own ideas. And this is why I always like my students to talk about things they know. When you talk about things you know, the things you like, the things you have empathy for, or the things you and definitely you love, then you will remember. Then the cognitivism will come in. So this is why constructivism is very important in the learning process. And lastly, we need to look at motivation and its effect. Motivation plays a very important role in language learning. Yes, motivation, it plays a very important role in language learning. There are 2 types of motivation: intrinsic motivation and extrinsic motivation. What is the intrinsic motivation? Intrinsic motivations are things that happen inside that motivate. That is the one that comes from the learner itself, that happens inside the classroom. Okay, like your teacher, your friends, the classroom environment, uh, the the school itself. So this can really motivate the language learner. And also, extrinsic motivations are things that happen outside the learner or outside the classroom. Your parents, your family, your work. Many students, especially in Cambodia, they work and they go to school, so they have to shuttle between both. So this can also affect your language learning or your education. So these are the factors you need to look at: intrinsic motivation and extrinsic motivation. Also, we look at the role of emotion in learning. The role of emotion in learning. Um, this is very important because, like I said, you remember more of the things you like. If there are two things, and first, the good things that happen to you, you never forget, and the bad things that happen to you also you never forget. Okay, but in most cases, you remember the good things more than the bad things. So this is where emotion comes in, whether good or bad. You may have feelings, positive or negative feelings. So a lot of language learners, they don't have positive feeling about the language. You don't like, for example, you want to learn English, you don't like foreigners, you don't like, maybe you see American or British people, you have no affinity for them, you don't even like Western food, you only prefer to eat Khmer food, you don't want to associate with them, then it's going to affect your language learning. I know a lot of people who did not go to school, they did not go to the university, they did not even go to the language center, but their English is very, very good. How? Because they love working and dealing with foreigners, they welcome foreigners, they become part of them. You understand? So that emotion helps in the language learning. Similarly, for children, that is the same thing. At younger level, children have more emotion. Sometimes you see some children, they don't want to go to school. They don't like school. They are afraid of their friends. Oh, that guy is going to bully me. That guy is going to beat me. So they are shy. This affects their feeling to learn. Not just learning language, to learn generally. So as teachers, you need to create like I mentioned again, use and fun. You need to create a very good atmosphere in your school to ensure that the students, especially the young children, they are happy to go to school. Some children like school even more than home because they enjoy the freedom, they enjoy the friendship, they enjoy the environment in the classroom. So this is very important to explore the emotion of the students. Now, how to create a learning environment? How to create a learning environment. Next lesson, we will look at this as well as different learning styles, how to deal with individual differences, evaluation and assessment, and also classroom management. If you have enjoyed this lesson, don't forget to hit the like button and of course share this lesson so that others can benefit from it. And then subscribe to this channel for more learning videos. Um, if you have any questions you want to ask whatsoever with regards to educational psychology, drop it on the comment box. Or if there are some areas you still want me to talk about, then don't hesitate to drop it on the comment box. Thank you for being part of the ACLEDA University of Business lecture series. My name is Dr. Gabriel Ken Gadaffi. See you again soon. Yes, if you have enjoyed this lesson, don't forget to like and subscribe. And you can share the video. And if you really want to join us in our
English language lessons, you can sign up at ACLEDA University of Business. At ACLEDA University of Business, we provide courses in academic programs and also in associate degree programs. You can also sign up for short courses in general English program as well as English for specific purpose and English for academic purpose. You can click on the link below or you can scan the QR code for more details. Thank you.